When I moved into my garage, one of the first things I did was stick a couch in it, because it's every gearhead's dream to have a couch in their garage. That was 4 years ago, and a big focus of mine over those 4 years has been turning this garage into a workshop that's tailor-made for my specific needs. I've added bench space, shelving, storage, lighting, tools, and in all that time, I've hung out on this couch maybe 6 times. It turns out I don't really come in here to sit around and put my feet up, and the more time this couch spends being used as parts storage, the clearer it gets that it's not the right furniture for the space. This corner that's currently home to the couch is also home to an old kitchen cabinet that stores all my liquids, which is also not right for the job it's doing. It's too small and it's a pain to access. My plan is to ditch the couch, coffee table, and cabinet and install one large workbench in that space. In this video, I'm going to show you how I generally go about building the kind of simple low-buck workbench that this space calls for. The work surface on top will replace this couch as a place to spread my mess out to, and the shelving below will replace the cabinets as storage for things like paints, solvents, and lubricants. I'm of the opinion that there's no right or wrong way to build a workbench. The important thing is that it serves its purpose. This bench on the other side of my garage is a good example of how I like to build them, but just like this bench was tailor-made for this space and purpose, so too will the one we're building. I'm not fancy when it comes to building materials. This bench will be made solely of 2x4s, 2x3s, and 1x10s. I'm starting by building the bench top. This consists of an outer rectangle of 2x4s with 2x4 braces in the middle. For dimensions, I went with 27 3/4 inches deep by 8 feet long. I chose 27 3/4 because that's the width of 3 1x10s, which will be a nice affordable bench top, and it's almost exactly the amount of space between the existing shelves and the wall. Next, I attached the legs. The leg length is 39 inches, which will give the bench an overall height of 40 inches once the top is attached. This is a few inches higher than the rest of the benches in my shop, but since this bench will mostly be used for storage, I care more about storage capacity than workspace ergonomics. The legs that will be up against the wall are mounted side to side, while the legs that face the front are mounted front to back for easy access to the supplies stored underneath. On the back and both sides, I braced the legs together with more 2x4. As you can see on the workbench in the background, I'd normally also mount one on the front and use these to support the bottom shelf. In this case, I need as much vertical real estate as I can get, so I'm opting not to put a bottom shelf in at all. The bottom shelf on this bench will be the floor. At this point, it's sturdy enough for a half-finished bench, and thankfully perfectly level, at least relative to my shop floor. To support the middle shelf, I'm bracing all the way around the bench with 2x3s instead of 2x4s, to save a bit more vertical space, and also like $4. The shelf also gets cross braces just like the top. This is the completed frame for the workbench. All that's left to do at this point is add the flat surfaces for the top and shelf. I know some people like to make very durable, high-quality bench tops, but I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I like cheap, disposable bench tops that I can drill holes in, spill stuff on, and replace for dirt cheap when they get too clapped out. For every other bench I've ever made, I just used plywood, but the dimensions of this one don't fit nicely inside a single sheet of plywood, so I opted to use 1x10 planks instead. The shelf is the exact same as the top, except I had to cut notches in the corners to clear the legs. A healthy application of wood screws later, and we've got a completed workbench. The only thing left to do is clear out a space for it and move it into its new home. I was about to throw out this old kitchen cabinet, but at the last minute I decided that I wanted to hang on to the top cabinet since it would fit well in this awkward corner area that's hard to reach anyways, and this little spice shelf from inside the door that I figured I could find a home for. The spice shelf I ended up mounting on the exposed end of the workbench. It's a little tall, but it will keep things from rolling off. And let's just get some receipts out of the way real quick. Is it level? You be the judge. Is it sturdy? Let my bathroom scale be the judge. Keen-eyed viewers might notice something's off here, and yes, you're correct. I did measure once and cut twice. There's a reason you're watching this on a failing YouTube channel and not HGTV. So after seeing the finished product, I think the only thing I would do differently is I would put a fourth shelf in this back corner here. So I just take the last 2 feet of the workbench, build a fourth shelf up here that could go on top of this cabinet, and that way this shelf, top shelf from my steel rack, goes all the way over to the corner. But hindsight's 20/20. I can still store stuff on top of this cabinet if I want, but ideally I would have liked to use this top corner space a little bit more smartly. All that's left to do now is move in. The bottom shelf, aka the floor, gets all the big bulky things like oil containers, drain pans, floor dry, and gas cans. The middle shelf gets everything I want convenient access to. Paints, cleaners, solvents, etc. I'm trying to group things by those categories, but we all know that's not going to last. The spice shelf at the end is all adhesives like glues and epoxies. Inside the cabinet goes all my detailing supplies, since it's nice to have this stuff in a space where it can't get too dusty. The hooks on the side of this cabinet used to be home to various random things that have no home, and since I kept the cabinet, I can put this back just like it was before. Lastly, since I think I'll be using this work surface for a lot of assembly type tasks, I decided that this is the perfect place to put a parts organizer, which is something I've been meaning to add for years. And with that, we have the finished product. Sure, it makes my shop look a bit less cozy at first glance than a couch and coffee table, but it makes the space more usable and is a much more efficient use of the space. Most of this lumber came from my stash, so I don't have an exact dollar figure, but if you were to try to recreate this exactly, you'd probably be looking at around $100 Canadian. However, you shouldn't try to recreate this exactly. This is just me showing off how I like to make a workbench. Take my design, take a bunch of other people's designs, and use them to make a bench tailored to your space and your needs. And if you do that, be sure to let me know how it goes in the comments. Until next time.